News Radio Wham 1180 welcomes you to The Seniors Rock Show, presented by the law firm of Wesley Clark and Feshkin. The Seniors Rock Show, a lively weekly discussion, shedding a bright light on aging with fun, entertainment, and important info for all adults. Join us with your comments or questions. Call or text 222-1180 or 1-800-295-1180. Now, from the News Radio Wham 1180 studios in downtown Rochester, here's your host, Joanna Palvino.
Welcome to Seniors Rock Radio and a special 4th of July show today. I'll let our resident scholar and estate planning attorney and co-host, Mike Robinson, start us out. We get a bit of 4th of July history, if you will. And that is because, I don't know if you know this, but Mike reads the Declaration of Independence every 4th of July. And I think that's really cool. Yeah, he's the real deal. And here he is, Mike Robinson.
Happy Saturday, Joanna. So, yeah.
It was a nice intro, huh?
Yeah, there you go. I like it. So, 4th of July, also, of course, known as Independence Day. It's actually only been a federal holiday since 1941. But, of course, the tradition of Independence Day celebrations goes back quite a ways, in fact, to the 18th century and the American Revolution. And it was the Second Continental Congress, which convened after the war had already begun. And in 1776, it took the momentous step of declaring America's independence from Britain.
Wow. That's good stuff. Thank you, Mike. You're always giving us a good education, whether it's about estate planning or things to do in your yard with your tractor, whatever. You're kind of a Renaissance man that way. It's good to remember, though, what it took for us to enjoy the freedoms that we have today. And, I think we all agree here that we live in an amazing country. But I don't know if you ever think about this, but did you know that many of us don't live alone? And you look at me like, what? Well, 66% of the U.S. households, that's 86.9 million homes, own a pet. So we're talking about having a pet in the home, and dogs are the most popular pet in the U.S. There's about 65 million of them in the households around the U.S., and followed by, you would probably guess this, cats. I guess there's a good argument because we got the cat people and the dog people, but the cats are second at 46.5 million. And I think Fitz, who's recording this for us today and doing the production, has both. So the third category, Mike, do you know what it is?
Boy, I don't.
Well, it's freshwater fish. Who
Really?
would know? 11.1 million households in the U.S. have freshwater fish. A little bit easier to take care of, I think, than the other furry ones. But why am I thinking about pets on the 4th of July, you ask? Well, I'll tell you why. Fireworks, picnics, all of those 4th of July traditions can be great fun for people. But those festivities can also be frightening and even dangerous, if you will, for animals. So we've got some tips today on keeping your pets safe and happy this weekend and anytime, I guess. And we'll cover being prepared for saying goodbye to them, too, which is something I don't want to talk about. Nobody does, but it's very important. But first, I'm wondering what Mike Robinson's thinking over there. I see you preparing. What's going on for the game this week?
Well, I'll tell you what, I was thinking about our guest, Rick Harris Jr. of Pets at Peace. And as you said, so many people have pets, and very often those pets outlive us. Maybe not the freshwater fish so much, but dogs and cats, and of course, many animals have great longevity. You think about horses, many birds, tortoises. So it's not at all uncommon for people to outlive their pets. And there's a place for pets in your estate plan. When I sit down with folks who have pets, which is probably the majority of the people I meet with, one of the concerns they bring up is, well, what happens if I do predecease my pet? Who's going to take care of it? How is that going to be paid for? And they're very often surprised and relieved to know that you can create a trust for your pets. These are authorized by many, if not most states. New York is one of them. And what it does is it allows you to put an arrangement in place that accomplishes two main things. Number one, so you know who is going to be your pet's caretaker. And of course, for any of us who have or have had pets, that's probably the number one concern is, well, if we're not taking care of that pet, who's going to do that for us? But of course, the second piece of that is all pet owners know pets are expensive. And you've got veterinary bills, you've got food, of course, and and flea medications and the toys and all the various things that that go on with pets. So
allergy shots.
Yeah, exactly. So how is that going to be paid for? Because you certainly don't want the caretaker to be saddled with a financial burden as well. And so a wonderful solution to that is to create a pet trust, because you can set aside funds that are held in, and the person you name as the trustee is legally required to use those funds for exactly the purposes that you designate. And if your pet happens to then die before those funds have been exhausted, you get to say where they go. And you may want to leave them with the caretaker. Some people want it to go to a pet-related charity. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's for each individual what's important to them. But the key is that it is an arrangement that you can put in place. It is legally enforceable. I know a lot of people, kind of make fun of it. We think of Leoma Helmsley leaving millions of dollars to her dog many years ago. But it is an appropriate thing to do. It's a very practical thing to do. And it is just one of your legal options when you're looking to plan your estate.
Wonderful stuff. And, pets are part of the family. And our next guest coming up today is Rick Harris Jr., Pets at Peace by Harris Funeral Home. And that's one of the taglines they use, pets are a part of the family. And when you talk about leaving, the plan for them, it breaks my heart when you see that a dog or a cat has been turned over to a shelter because no one knew what to do with them. And I've heard it many times, and it's so sad because there are programs, even for senior dogs and cats, to get adopted if someone passes away. So terrific stuff, Mike. Thank you, because I am a big dog lover, as you know. I have two small ones, and those days are coming. I have a 14-year-old. It's like a little nursing home here for dogs. But I love them, and I want to be sure that, if I go before them, someone's going to take care of them. Sure.
And I know, too, because you do take good care of your dogs, that one of our topics coming up is important, is how do we keep them safe and calm during 4th of July celebrations?
Absolutely. And that's a big challenge, folks. And if you've ever gone through it, you know what I'm talking about. So stay tuned, because we're going to talk about that next with Rick Harris Jr. of Pets at Peace. And we've got some good tips for you on how to, even before the fireworks start, what to do, and then what to do during, and then afterwards, have some fun. Talk to you soon. Stay right there.
Welcome back to Seniors Rock Radio. Joanna reminded us earlier that noisy fireworks and other celebrations can startle animals and even cause them to run away. Holiday foods can be unhealthy, summer heat and travel can be dangerous, and potentially dangerous debris can end up lying on the ground where pets can eat or play with it. So whether or not you're planning your own Independence Day celebration, it's important to take precautions to keep your pets safe both during and after 4th of July festivities. And joining us now is Rick Harris Jr. of Pets at Peace by Harris Funeral Home in Irondequoit, New York. Pets at Peace is a sponsor of Seniors Rock Radio, and we asked Rick to join us today to share some holiday tips for keeping pets safe, and then later in the show to talk about saying goodbye to them and preparing for that inevitable day. So, Rick, let's get started talking about ways to de-stress pets anxious about 4th of July activities.
Hey, thanks so much. Glad to be here with both of you. I'm glad to start. I was recently talking to a pet parent, and they said that, if a pet is exhibiting calm behavior, then reward them with a treat so that they associate those noises with a positive outcome.
Okay, positive. I like that, and it would make sense that you need to remain calm also, right? If your pet's paying attention to your body language and what they find comforting.
Right. Yep. Just like their kids, their bed, their blanket, some of their favorite toys. Any of these can create a calming environment.
And weren't you talking to a trainer earlier, Rick? You said something about you said a couple other things about the crate.
Yeah, we have a gentleman who works with us who's a pet trainer, and he brought up toys that you could use for your pet. So if you have like a Kong with peanut butter, it keeps them busy, or you could take little pieces of their food, those little kibble bites, if you will, and you lay them out on a blanket. You wrap the blanket up nice and tight, and you let them, go on a search to find it all. So it keeps them busy and keeps them occupied.
Very good.
Rick, I have a question for you. I know you have had a dog. I've seen a dog in some of your things online and so on. Do you still have a dog? Because I know you have 3 boys.
I have 3 boys. Winton, who you see on TV, in full disclosure, in all honesty, is not my dog. It's actually the owners of Mayer Hardware Store, and they've been so kind to let me bond with Winton over the years. But he's a good boy, and dog talk is going very, very steadily in our house right now with 3 little boys trying to prep them for responsibilities.
I bet. And what a great way to do it. That's a wonderful thing. And I think Winton is awesome. And I love Mayer Hardware. We've been going there for years. They're the best over on Winton.
Great people.
Yeah, I like the name Winton. It fits well.
On Winton Road.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, good
That's
stuff.
awesome.
If the dog or cat does run away, Rick, I understand microchipping could be a good measure to help locate that pet eventually.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that'd be correct. Microchipping is, all your vets kind of recommend that, and definitely highly suggest it.
Yeah, and Rick and Pets at Peace, of course, they work hand in hand with most of the vets in town in Rochester area, not just in Irondequoit where they're located. But we're going to talk now we'll talk about that later too. He'll be here for 2 segments today, happy to say. And let's go to what happens during the fireworks. First, leave your pets at home if you're going to go to the fireworks. I think that's my first tip. And then keep them inside if you have neighbors that are setting them off, because we, as most of you know, live across from the lake. Many people on the water like to shoot them off. So we do a little bit about like keeping them home. We close the curtains. We do all kinds of things. So I like to stay home with them. I have one dog who's really petrified of the noise, and I close the curtains, as I said, in the windows and put the TV on really loudly. So I don't know if the vets think that's a good idea, but that's how I do it.
Yeah, and it's a good idea to keep sparklers or glow sticks or fireworks, charcoal, your barbecue, your kebab skewers. Keep those away from those curious pets or those pets who are tall enough to at least reach up to the barbecue. And don't let your pets near that barbecue grill, especially when it's in use or you're just getting done and it's still hot.
Yeah, and that's good advice. Because especially the kebab skewers, right? Because they're going to smell the good meat or whatever on there, and they'll be attracted to that. No, I know it. And then sort of related, we should really avoid the urge to feed those pets table scraps, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, you've got
there's a lot of things that are actually poisonous or toxic to dogs and cats that you wouldn't think of, like sugar-free gum or grapes, for example.
Yeah, grapes was one that my dog used to eat grapes. So it was okay. Don't say that. It was okay, but
I heard that's one of the worst.
But that's what I understand. And so it was sort of surprising for me to learn about that. But yeah, and too, owners are trying to be good with their pets and make sure that they're eating a proper diet. So, certainly you don't want to ever feed somebody's pet without checking in with them. But yeah, you got to be cautious about some of the foods that you wouldn't think are toxic, but are.
Mm-hmm. Or pet them if you don't get permission. And Rick, what do you think? What are you thinking about with your boys? I mean, those are the lessons that we've learned growing up, and it's a way different world now. I mean, it used to be the dogs were running around the neighborhood when I was a kid, but now, there's a whole lot of rules, and you can't take them everywhere, but it's really a good way to start with lessons.
Yeah, I was raised with having the, duty master on the weekends to pick up after the dog and walk the dog and feed the dog. So, I think these are good learning things for boys or girls who are growing up with a dog. It teaches you responsibility, and kids want that. So.
Yeah, it is. It's certainly something we did with our kids growing up too. It's a great way for them to learn some responsibility, and that it's not always just about the fun. You got to take care of somebody as well. So that's good stuff.
Mm-hmm. And I know why they want to have a dog, because pretty much every commercial on television has a dog, and my dog knows their dogs and goes crazy when she sees them. So it's you learn really quickly how many dogs are out there and how many people enjoy having dogs. But we're going to talk more about that next. And so we're also going to talk about saying goodbye to our pets with Rick Harris Jr. of Pets at Peace by Harris Funeral Home next on Seniors Rock Radio. So stay tuned, because these are important things to talk about.
RockVox Recording and Production is Western New York's first purpose-built podcast and live stream studio, featuring Zcam digital cinema cameras, Rode Procaster microphones, and over 25 years of audio and visual production experience. RockVox also specializes in audiobook production for independent and self-published authors, as well as voiceover recording for radio, TV, film, and telephony. Learn more about our Bushnell's Basin studios and services at rocvox.com, or follow us on social media. Mouth off at RockVox.
Athena Direct Primary Care and Lifestyle Medicine is an innovative approach to primary physician care. Athena is the only direct primary care practice in our region, and it's right here in Pittsford, New York. Direct care is a simple model: direct patient-physician relationship, no middle person, unlimited services, same day or next day unhurried appointments, plus direct access by phone, text, or email to communicate with your personal physician when you need it. All services included in one low monthly fee. No insurance copays, no fee for service. Athena Direct Care is currently accepting new patients, but it's for a limited time only. So call today for a free, no-obligation meet and greet with Dr. Laura Petrescu. Go to athenadirectcare.com or call 585-662-5510. That's athenadirectcare.com.
This is Dr. Laura Petrescu, and I'm looking forward to meeting you soon.
I'm Joanna, host of Seniors Rock Radio. Our guest today is one of the founding family members of Pets at Peace by Harris Funeral Home. In the last segment, we were talking about how to keep our pets safe and happy over the 4th of July holiday. But now we'd like Rick to give us some advice and some guidance on how to prepare for the dreaded day we say goodbye to them. That's what I call it. And Rick Harris Jr. has a lot of experience with his family and himself. And I think our conversation today with him will help me to change dreaded day to something more positive and comforting. So that's what I'm hoping anyway. Rick, thanks for joining us again. And thank you for all that your family does with people and pets in the Rochester area community. So I guess I'll start with the questions. We always do that. And the first one is there really a way to make the process any easier before my pet dies?
Yeah, that's a great question. And, I think you said it, this is the inevitable for, all of us, whether, we're human or a pet. But, it is going to be a dreaded day, and it's going to be awful, and it's going to hurt. And but we try to make things as easy as we can. And one of the things that we've done is we've created a pet portal, pre-planning portal, if you will. And the portal really allows the pet owner to, go to our website and select the type of cremation plan that they would like. They can pick out a different urn, they can pick out jewelry, they can add a clay paw print or a fur clipping, and they could really plan the whole package that they want and they feel comfortable with. And the portal is smart enough to, as you are selecting on your items, it builds the price point for you so they know what they're getting into. But, just like pre-planning at the funeral home for people, we hear a lot of, geez, my mom planned her funeral 10 years ago, and it really made coming to see you easily because we knew what we were going to do. And I think the same would apply definitely for pets as well.
Yeah, and that's a great point because, again, just as it is with if you lose, a loved one, a human loved one, that's not the time you want to be having to deal with all of the logistics and those kinds of decisions. Yeah. It's extremely emotionally distressing, and so I'm a major proponent of pre-planning for humans and for pets. So when a pet does die and someone's looking at cremation, does someone have a choice as to where their pet's remains are sent, or are they stuck with the vet's recommendation? How does that work?
Yep. So, just like when a human passes away, you have the option of selecting whatever funeral home you want. And the same thing would be said with when your pet passes away. Now, the vet hospitals normally have some sort of relationship with somebody. And, we're very blessed and honored to take care of the majority of them here in our county and surrounding counties. But you never have to use who they suggest. And you can do your own research. You can look at your own price points of where you want to be and options. And so you never have to go with who they say. It's your choice. Your pet's your family member.
Sure. And because for a lot of people, they haven't been through this before. Rick, what are the best questions to ask your veterinarian about cremation?
I think the first one that I would ask, which is the most important one, is going to be, do they track? And really what that means is, do they use a tracking system? And to be honest with you, before 2009, before we started, there was no tracking system from anybody here in Monroe County and surrounding areas. Nobody was using them. Funeral homes have used them. That's been a part of the funeral home process and for human cremation since like the 1950s. But for pet cremation, there wasn't. So we were the first to introduce that stainless steel disc that you use for tracking. And once we started explaining this to the vet hospitals, the light bulb went off of, geez, this is the way it should be done. Furthermore, there's a company out there called the Cremation Association of North America, and they are responsible for really having their hands on cremation throughout the country and how things should be handled. They will tell you that if you are not using a stainless steel tracking disc, that there's no way to fully guarantee that you're getting your loved one's cremated remains back.
Interesting.
So tracking disc is super important, number one.
Sure. Okay.
Yep. The other question I think is, and this is a little bit more of a sensitive topic, is going to be, do they stack? And really what that means is when your pet passes away and your pet is brought into their back room, into their care center or whatever they call their room there, your pet is usually placed into a cooler, okay? And ultimately, there's a lot of places that, they don't come every day for when a pet passes away. They come every few days or, once a week. So you can imagine, unfortunately, there's going to be multiple pets in that cooler. And to be honest with you, I find that very upsetting. It's not what I would want for my pet. And I think if you asked any pet parent, they would not want that at all. And so, we respond right away. We're there within 24 hours, if not the same day of when a pet passes away. So, if they're stacking, I'd say, hey, that's not for me. We're gonna call somebody else that can get here sooner. And I think that's just best for the overall family and the care of the pet.
Yeah, if you could see me right now, they could see that I was covering my ears when you were saying that. It's very upsetting.
It is. It's a sensitive topic for sure.
Yeah, but thank you for bringing it to the forefront because it is important if it is your pet, right? I mean, those are the things you want people to know about. And if you just tuned in, folks, we're talking to Rick Harris Jr. of Pets at Peace by Harris Funeral Home. And he's a frequent guest here on the show, and he's always got great wisdom. And he's a very compassionate person, family guy, and his family has done so much for the community. Okay, Rick. Mm-hmm. Can you share any stories or other pieces of wisdom before we have to go?
Yeah, I think the last thing to share is just, really asking the vet, why do they use the company that they do use? What makes them special to them? When are they going to come for my pet? Are they using that tracking disc? And then I think this is the most important one at the end of this three is, when do I get my pet's cremated remains back? And, for our policy, it's a 72-hour promise that we guarantee. There's a lot of places that are 1 to 2 weeks. And, when you get to the 1 or 2 weeks, you're kind of already getting into some healing stages and whatnot during your grief. and you're waiting 2 weeks to get the pet's cremated remains back, and you're kind of ripping that Band-Aid off of the grief process. So, I think having pets cremated remains back, any loved ones cremated remains back as soon as possible is important.
Absolutely. And thank you again, Rick, for all you do, you and your family in the community for people and pets, as we said. And it's Pets at Peace. They're located in Irondequoit, New York, but you can certainly contact them from anywhere in the Rochester area. And do you go out to the Finger Lakes too?
I sure do. I have my in-laws live down on Canisius Lake, so we get down there from time to time.
Excellent. All right. Well, you have a great rest of your weekend, Rick. Thank you for joining us. And thank you for talking about some of these sensitive topics, because you know what? It's important. That's why we're here. That's why we want you to keep listening to News Radio WHAM 1180 and Seniors Rock. We'll be right back after these messages. Thank you to our sponsors, and especially Pets at Peace and our presenting sponsor, the law firm of Wesley Clark & Peshkin, where your family is their business. Most of our sponsors are family businesses, and they're local, and I think that's really awesome, including Rick Harris Jr., who joined us today, and I wanted to thank him from Pets at Peace. A lot of good information, and they've got lots of good stuff on their website. If you are interested in pre-planning for a pet, that is the place to go. And, if you want to see who our other sponsors are, you can go to our site, and that's seniorsrockradio.com. And feel free, if you do go there, to say hello on the contact page, because there is one of those. And you can reach out and tell us if you like something or like something on the show or whatever you'd like to say. So, Mike, are you ready for the 4th of July? It's a holiday. What are you going to be doing? Where are you? Let me ask you this. Where are you going to be reading the Declaration this year?
So I will be reading from home this year. Where exactly? I don't know. I've got options, but yeah, that'll be. I'll start that with my coffee in the morning, and then having family over, having my dad, my sister, and her husband, and Kelly's dad, and her brother's going to be up visiting from Pennsylvania. Maybe a nephew or two. We'll see, but it'll be a fun day.
Yeah, and do you make any traditional things, or do you just go with like the hots and hamburgers?
We mix it up. We don't have a standard traditional meal. I think this year we're just going to do some barbecued chicken, going to do some corn on the cob on the grill. We like to do that, and that always turns out well. Probably some potato salad, the usual stuff.
You're making me hungry. That sounds really good. Yeah, we'll probably enjoy some of those treats as well. And yeah, it is fun. The picnic season is about to start, I guess, all over again. We just started summer, and here we are, 4th of July. So that's kind of crazy. But we still have plenty of weeks left. And are you going to go anywhere else over the vacation, over the summer weeks?
No, I've got some business travel coming up later in the summer, but this is such a beautiful place. It's hard to leave, and almost any time of year. I suppose February, March, it's nice to go somewhere warm and sunny, but honestly, most of the time, I wouldn't rather be anywhere else than here.
I'm with you on that. And I know Fitz, we're at his studio right now, and that's Rock Vox Production out in Bushnell's Basin, or Pittsford, that's near there. And he's got a wonderful studio here. And I just wanted to say thank you to him today before we get too close to leaving, because he is a very thoughtful person. He's helped us out so many times in recording and, just being there. And he does some wonderful work called legacy casts. And Mike, I know you know what these are, but it's a way to capture a loved one or a friend or whoever it is that has an important story to tell, because they're all important. And Fitz will put that onto a recording and make it very special, to pass down for, all generations to come. So I've seen some of them. They're wonderful. And some people sing on them. But, the animal thing reminded me of that, because I know people talk about their animals too, just like their families on these legacy casts. So that's pretty cool. We'll have Fitz on again to talk about some of those in a future date. And we're going to be, I hope, take a walk down by the water and take my dogs. I'm going to tell you right now, I have a double stroller, and don't look at me weird, but my dogs are getting older. One has 3 legs and one is 14. So yeah, I'm going to take them down, and I have a place where I go to take them for a walk. Do you think that's weird?
And it's a very calming place, I'm sure.
Yeah, it is. It's what I call my secret place. It's actually behind a church, and there's a pond back there, but there's a road that goes back there. And, I think everybody has like a special place they like to go. I used to like to go to Braddock's Bay out on a little dock down there, but it's hard to get down there now with the dog. So you have to adjust sometimes, right? Just like aging with people. You have to adjust when your dogs are aging too.
That is true. That is true. So I also wanted to just offer another comment on the Legacy Cast is when I do estate planning presentations, I talk about the importance of not only preserving your financial legacy, but your personal legacy as well. And the Legacy Cast is just a fantastic way to do that.
They seriously are. And you can go to rockvox.com, and that's ROCVOX if you'd like to get more information. And Fitz will take care of you. And feel free to say you heard it on the Seniors Rock Show if you like. And but either way, he will be there. And he's got some wonderful stuff to share with you. And even a green screen. I love that because you can put anything behind there. In fact, once I was there and there was a minister that had his church on the green screen behind them. And that was during COVID because he couldn't really be in the church. And that's how he did his weekly announcements. That was a cool idea.
Yeah. I like that.
Right. Yeah. So anyway, Mike, thank you for being here every week. And again, thank you for, sponsoring the show with Wesley Clark and Peshkin. I hope that all of your partners this weekend are having a fun time and doing something to enjoy themselves. They're really nice people. I've enjoyed meeting all of them so far, and thank them for their work as well. Just like we thanked Rick Harris today, because his family does some very important work out there in the community, both with people and pets, as we said.
Absolutely. So, and folks, thanks for spending another hour on a Saturday with us. I hope you all have a wonderful Independence Day. However you're going to celebrate, certainly stay safe and of course, have fun. And as always, be well and be kind.
Thanks again, Mike. And thank you for always sharing your thoughts and your great voice every week. Folks, come back, will you? Our mission is to help as many people as we can with the experts that we bring on the air, the information we share about aging and living. And we do try to shine a bright light on aging, as we say every week. And you can help us by telling your family and friends about the show Saturdays on WHAM 1180 at noon till 1 every single weekend. So I hope that you enjoy your weekend this weekend. It's a special, special one, being the 4th of July. And if you come back on a regular basis, I think you're going to figure out that every time we're on the show, you'll be saying this at the end of the show, and that is Seniors Rock.